dripping Aquafina, I'm sipping 15, kept a weapon on me. Flow make digits, I'm on my business, stack chicken like what it's gon' be. Crew in the cut, hey, you want us, red run when I tell a peace. Love is love. Love is love. Adios. Bendo with the switch again. Boy deliver like he heffing. Core with digits, give him estimates. Somersaults for my Benjamins. I got what you need, baby. Skirt the Chevy, make a scene, baby. LABB been the team, baby. Bim Papa, word the G, baby. Look, labs till I'm finished. Had a handful of lemons through the hand. Got a bag, now the hands in the business. For my hand, it's a ticket. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I've been playing with the minutes that they been should've gave. And I'm flipping every digit that they been should've paid. Had to find a way to get it. No, this isn't what you made. If I ever wanna dip, then I'm brink with the blade. And I'm brinking a blink on the brink of some dumb shit. Watch how I move, cause I know the brink's coming. Watch for the blues, cause I know that they dumping. Nothing in my view, so it's hush on discussion. Hush on discussions, you know what you need to. I keep it in the fam to let you know that I don't need you. Y'all cats be see-through, head knock the piece. You been king, I'm regal, got it in my Abisu. Came through dripping Aquafina, I'm sipping 15, kept a weapon on me. Flow make digits, I'm on my business, stack chicken like what it's gon' be. Crew in the cut, hey, you want us, red run when I tell a peace. Love is love. Love is love. Hold up with it, got my back. Yeah.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy, Earth Mac, the mad scientist. And I got a guest, permanent guest, co-host out here talking some pro wrestling talk. My boy, the infamous Alvin Staley, man. What's going on with your partner?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Just blessed to be on here. One of my favorite sayings, look, if you don't want to be famous, be infamous. J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson, man. This is Pro Wrestling Talk Live, man, where we talk all things pro wrestling and man, I know I know yesterday I was talking to Vivo on our live show last night that I bought a X2 game stick, and that's like basically it looks like a USB, but it got the HDMI in. You can just plug it in the back of the TV.
Yeah. 2
wireless controllers, got like multiple arcade machine emulator. Like those games got over 40,000 games, but you know how emulators go, right? Just because it say 40,000 don't mean it's gonna play 40,000. But
you get 500 on there.
I mean, well, that's really low blowing, but like I would say like the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Neo Geo, stuff like that, flawless runs. But the main reason why I got it is because of the MAME list, and the MAME list is like the arcade games that you used to play like at Pizza Hut and Time Out and Aladdin's Castle, like stuff like that. Like stuff that, you know, don't look as good on consoles or never made it to consoles in the first place. Those games, and there's thousands of them. And the one game that sold me on this thing, and I could not get it on my laptop, I couldn't get it anywhere, is WWF WrestleFest.
Ooh.
I got that joint. Bro, let me tell you, man, anytime you want to come through, bro, let me know. We can play that joint.
Bruh, do you remember WWF In Your House, the arcade game?
Oh, yeah.
It was Sean Taker, American Made, Lex Luger, Yokozuna.
WrestleMania. That's what you're talking about. Super WrestleMania. Yeah, but the combo and doing the clown.
Yeah, that was on that. Yo, I loved that game. Like, it was cheesy, but it was so fun. And this was like Sean. This is like super HBK Sean.
Yeah,
he was still like, he was full on prime. Not to say full on prime Sean, but this is like great Intercontinental Champion Sean at the time. So that's probably one of my favorite before the WWE 2K games. That was probably one of my favorite all-time wrestling games. And I had it for PS1.
Yeah, it was on PS1. It was on PS1, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo.
I had it for PS1.
It kind of went as far as like Sega Saturn 32X. It was on those. But like WrestleFest, you can't find that anywhere. That wasn't on any console whatsoever because it could not be duplicated graphically on Sega, Genesis, or Super Nintendo. Neo Geo for sure. But like for those that don't know what WrestleFest is, it was like a 1 to 4 player co-op. You could do either tag team or you do Royal Rumble. You had Mr. Perfect, Big Boss Man, Ultimate Warrior, Earthquake, Demolition, $1 Million Man, Hogan, and it was
Legion of Doom was on there.
Legion of Doom, like they were the bosses at the end of the tag team. Like you had to beat them, and it was like button mashing. It was basically what it was. It was button mashing, but it was so perfectly made, like crazy.
The great part about that game, of course, we had a food line back home.
Yeah,
of course, and clothes and everything, but we had a food line. That was the one game they had 2 arcade games of that.
Yeah,
that and Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2 to be exact. So going there, as soon as my mom said, "Yeah, I gotta go to the store." What store you going to?
Wait, which one?
Say food line. I got $3 of quarters ready to go.
Yeah.
Go in there and go to work. I never played the Royal Rumble because I knew I was going to get thrown over the top rope.
Yeah.
Tag team match. I would always pick one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Mr. Perfect. And Hulk Hogan. And we would get as far as to the Legion of Doom. Like you see them walking out of the curtain down the aisle.
Yeah.
And as soon as they walk in there, 2 minutes later, a doomsday device is coming.
Yes. They coming for you, bro. Hey, listen. Unless you got quarters in there to hit start to replenish your health, you're not winning. It's a wrap at that point. It's a wrap at that point.
And they were good.
Very, very too good. Too good.
Like the Legion of Doom, they weren't only good in real life, they were good on that video game. They were
yes. And like some of the greatest wrestling games of all time, like WrestleFest is for sure in there. WWF No Mercy is definitely top tier, and WCW NWO Revenge, like those really, like the top 3. Now, if you want to go on the Japanese side, then Fire Pro Wrestling is the most innovative as far as the most creative, because you can create your own ring, your pyro, your entrances, your characters. You can do all those things. Graphically, not stunning. But then you got what's the name of the game? It's a Japanese wrestling game. I think it's Nippon Pro Wrestling or Giant Grand Pro Wrestling. But either way, it was like for New Japan and AJPW, that kind of thing. And I think that's where WCW NWO Revenge got, removed their sprites and just put, Hollywood Hogan and everybody else in there. Which, by the way, WCW NWO Revenge is on that game stick. I looked, I played it. I had Sting and I beat Hogan's ass. But that's what I did with it. But today we got a jam-packed show for you guys. Just like the thumbnail said, the AEW women's roster is getting a little bigger. It's getting a little bigger and taller.
It's not only getting bigger, but it's getting bigger and better.
Yes.
And what I mean by big and better, it's getting pretty dope. Women's wrestling to me is no longer a bathroom break.
No.
It's no longer bathroom. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but folks should be like, okay, this is women's match. Let me go use the bathroom real quick. Let me go fix me something to eat. No, I'm sitting there watching like I'm glued to the TV. And the person we're going to talk about here in just a second, that's big. And so is she.
Yes. For a roster that don't have that many big and tall women, Nyla Rose is one of them. Chris Statlander for sure is one of them. Those are only 2 people that I can really think of at the moment. But then you add this third person. You add in the longest reigning NWA Women's Champion in Kamille, and that is a shocker, to say the least, because the way she looks, the way her build is, it's like I can see her going, especially with Nick Aldis being on the, being a GM. one would think that she would jump over to, NXT or WWE, but that wasn't the case here. Tony Khan grabbed another one. So how you feel about that signing?
And see, now that you mention it, with Nick Aldis and his extremely deep NWA roots, you would have figured, hey, Kamille's out of a contract. Nick being a nice, extremely smooth dressing guy that he is, I really be wanting the suits he be wearing.
Hey man, those suits be fly down. I ain't gonna
they do now. You would think that Nick Aldis would have gotten the first crack at Kamille.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Tony Khan, whatever ace Tony Khan had up his sleeve, he played it, and he got Kamille. I mean. And true story, just real quick, me and the wife, we went to go see AEW down in Jacksonville. It was their last Jacksonville appearance before
Haley's place?
Yes.
Oh, snap. Okay. Yeah, you got to tell me about that one. Tell me about that experience.
We went and it was their last day because of COVID, they basically housed everything Daly's place.
Yeah.
And we went to their last Daly's Place appearance before we were talking to one of the guy that's in charge of, hooking up the ring and everything. He's like, this is it. This is our last Daly's Place event. We're officially getting back on the road. COVID's dying down. We're getting back on the road. AEW's back on it.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there watching, and I see this Amazon like figure with blonde hair. And I Googled immediately. I said, Steph, that's Kamille. And I forgot who was in her face at the time, but Kamille this is Kamille. This is who was in front of her.
Layla Hirsch. That's who it was. Layla Hirsch.
Yes, it was Layla Hurst. And I felt so bad for Layla Hurst. And I love Layla Hurst. I'm a huge fan because she's one of those catch type of wrestlers. Yeah. So I'm sitting there looking at her, and I'm like, I'm just a few inches taller than Layla Hurst. But you look at Kamille, and Kamille is she's a Jade Cargill that is extremely seasoned, and that is a full-on wrestler. Yeah. I basically see Jade is going to be exactly what Kamille is. Granted, Jade keeps on getting her skill because Jade is looking really, really good right now.
Yeah,
but Kamille is different. You don't end up NWA with that type of respect and that cachet that it has. It doesn't put that belt on you and keep it on you as long as they did without saying, this is that chick.
Yeah.
So for AEW to get Kamille, that's huge because Tony Storm needs help because Tony's back. Tony needs to go see a chiropractor for carrying that women's division like she has.
Man, let me tell you about Tony Storm, man. Like Tony Storm, this is her best run like ever, man. Like with her persona and how she stays in character at interviews. Like not just post media scrum, but like just where she's at. Like she talks just like that she's doing interviews, and you gotta like catch yourself. Like when people like interviewing and stuff, like with Kamille, she's extremely seasoned. Yeah. Now, I mean, I'm not a professional wrestler, but to have her on the AEW roster, that says a lot. Now, look at the quartet of people that Tony Khan has gotten. He got Okada, he got Danielson, he got Ospreay, he got Omega, he got Mercedes, he got Kamille. And I was like
in a year.
In a year's time. Outside of Danielson, because Danielson's been there. But
yeah,
in a year's time, though, like within a year's time, he signed all these individuals. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to do something with these people, man, because this roster is beyond fat. It's beyond fat. It's like, you want to, I would say do a soft brand split, but just a little bit of a split. That way everybody can get that, most people can get their TV time. But Kamille, I'm very much interested on what directions that she's going to go. She's definitely a main eventer type person. Like, you know, she held like a prestigious championship for a very long time.
Yeah.
And she almost had it almost as long as Nick Aldis had the NWA heavyweight title. And she was just under the learning tree at that point. And NWA is pro wrestling personified in a way because they have their own niche audience. So that in itself was shocking. Like I heard rumors. I heard rumors that she signed with, that she was going to sign with AEW, but Connecticut is appetizing up there. It's a new regime over there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no longer Vince.
And I completely missed that her contract was coming up. We also forgot that Tony Khan also pried away the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. He also got her too, because let's be honest, she's not a slow leak either.
No.
She's not a slow leak either. I'm actually a fan of hers. I like Deonna Purrazzo. I like her work. So I mean, he got her, and he's actually already had her in a main event with Toni Storm. And he's not only had her in the main event, but he's keeping her around. She's still in that picture to try to get back in that main event match. So I mean, I don't know what Tony Khan is saying to folks, but I think he's finally, because my whole problem, I was afraid that I was like, is this guy going to be able to? Is he going to be able to, say the right things to the right folks? And I think he's like you and me. Yeah. The wrestling fan, the wrestling geek, the guy who's probably gone to that rec center or that gym to see some indie wrestling. And he's like, okay, I believe I can do this. And it's I think those wheels are finally turning now. But also he's got guys like the Young Bucks that are there that's saying, hey, we wrestled in a gym. We wrestled in front of 200 people. Yeah. We know how this works. Yeah. So I think getting somebody like Kamille, that's going to be a treat for the fans. A huge treat for the fans.
And I will say this about the women's division, because that was one of the main critiques that people had like last year when it came to the women's division, for AEW, is that they don't have enough TV time. We need more TV time for them. We need this and need this. And I credit, and it's no slight against the women's division. I credit one person for that. We need to pay attention, and that's Athena. I credit her like 100%. Like what she did or what she's doing with the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. She main evented a couple pay-per-views, and she's still the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. And like you can hear the passion like in her voice, and like, I'm the flagship bearer for Ring of Honor, and I'm this and I'm that, and and she's proven that time and time again. And it's like at some point she was putting on better shows than the AEW roster was doing, even though it's still the same umbrella. But I mean, if you was TK, you had no choice but listen, get on TV. Here's just a mass amount of time. And then you add in Mercedes, you add in Willow, and their ongoing story that went on for like a year. That's a year-long story, basically. And you notice the women's matches are longer. They're hitting harder. It's like I really love Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa, like at Dynasty. Really love that match.
Yeah, that was a really good match.
They were beating the shit out of each other. They was beating the piss out of each other, man. So I was like, it had me sweating.
And it was good to see Thunder Rosa back. It's really good to see her back. I know she had to take her time off and everything, and I think she may have had some, just want to check her mental health and stuff. But it's good to see her back, because at one matter of fact, when they came down here to Columbia, me and Steph, we met her. Yeah. And at one point, I thought Thunder Rosa was the baddest chick in wrestling. Yeah. I mean, she had the paint, and she at the same time repping USA, Mexico. Of course, she's out of Texas. I mean, I really thought, I was like, yo, can't nobody beat this chick one-on-one. Yeah. Straight up, you can't beat her without some outside interference or something. So it's good to see her back, and she looked like she's really enjoying being back in the ring.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll see what happened with Kamille. When she will debut. I know according to Fightful Select, she did sign, officially. So I mean, we might see it tomorrow night. You might see us as soon as tomorrow night.
No, Tony Khan doesn't like to wait.
Nah, I mean,
he doesn't like to wait.
And speaking of Tony Khan, you know, last week there was a little bit of a discourse on Twitter because Swerve is the first African American champion in AEW.
Yeah.
And some people was upset that he didn't close the show. So, but Swerve is a fighting champion. Like, he's been advertising it. Like, I'm a fighting champion. You know, I don't have to cut promos. You know, I'm gonna cut a promo if I need to. Like, I'm good on the mic. But it's just like the energy that's being portrayed. But at the same time, Tony Khan never been touched on live TV. Like, he's never been assaulted. Like,
and that wasn't just a bump. That was a power driver.
Right.
I mean, we talking about a move that they don't even allow that in Connecticut.
Nah, like that's two moves. He took two bumps. He took a microphone to the stomach, even though it was delayed. And, you know, he kind of crumbled over. And then he took the Meltzer driver. And I was like, this has never happened in AEW. Like, he's never been in the ring and got assaulted before. So you kind of need that to close the show technically, because that kind of leave people talking like, what the hell's going on? And then, you know, sometimes I love the internet, sometimes I hate it. Because so the one reason why I hate it is because I wanted to stay in that level of imagination, thinking what's going to happen next week. Is he going to show up in a net brace at an NFL draft? And he did. And he pulled up. He had a net brace and all. You know what I'm saying? They acknowledged it and everything. What happened? And I think this is a good storyline. It does remind me of NWO a little bit. A little bit. What's on your mind? What you thinking?
You remember when, and I think Tony Khan may have thought back and he learned from WWE. You remember when Brock broke Triple H's arm?
Yes.
He did that on a Monday. That following Saturday, Floyd Mayweather had a match.
Yeah.
Triple H was in the ring holding one of Floyd's belts up. No brace or nothing.
Yeah.
Tony is in full character mode, even at the NFL draft, saying, hey, look, people are expecting me to look jacked up by taking a Meltzer driver.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my neck brace on. I have to play. The folks over at AEW, I really feel like their character is, when they're out in public, they play the character. Because MJF was 100% heel when you saw him.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
So I believe I think AEW does a lot better job. Nothing against WWE, but I think AEW does a little bit better of a job of, if your character's a heel, you're in heel form.
Yeah.
So they do everything they can to make it as believable as they can. They do what they can to try to keep the kayfabe going.
Yeah. No doubt. And I'm very curious on what this means, because this is like a real big storyline now. Like, this is the start of something really, really special. You know, TK is not, from what I understood, TK is not going to be on the show this week. Like, he's appointing someone to be, I guess, the authority figure or in his spot. And a lot of people speculating that it's Kenny Omega, since he's going to debut.
Yeah.
A lot of people speculating that it's Sting. Some people go as far as saying it's Scott D'Amore, because Scott D'Amore got let go from TNA, and I was like, I want them to get Scott D'Amore so bad.
He should have got fired in the first place.
I'm like, man, please hire this man. Like, TNA Knockout division has always been top tier to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If not the best. Like, imagine what he can do with the women's division in AEW. Not just the women's division, but just the entire roster as a whole. But if he just, you know what I'm saying? And I know the workload is going to be lighter and stuff like that. Man, come on. Let Scott D'Amore be that guy. He's a better choice.
You know what he could do? Because I'm pretty sure TK is running Ring of Honor as well.
Yeah.
And what he could do, and I've always thought this, because there's like a few names that come to me versus TK being the GM or the person running Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Or at least hand those data. There's 3 or 4 guys you can say, yo, they could be the head. They could be, the big balls over there at Ring of Honor. There's Caprice. You can send him over there.
Yeah.
You can send what's my man name over there? He's with Statlander. Bald head guy always makes me.
Oh, Stokely.
You can send Stoke. You can send Stoke.
Yeah, Big Stoke.
Yeah,
that's what they call it.
You can send on Stoke over there.
Yeah. Big Stoke.
You can now.
I mean, he's over there. He's actually over there. I think he's like a GM or something like that. He's like an authority figure.
Yeah.
I mean, like in Ring of Honor, but like the babyface turn he has with Willow and Chris Statlander is like it's working. But for Scott, I wouldn't send Scott to Ring of Honor. If it was up to me, what I would do with Ring of Honor is make it like NXT is, like, because to be perfectly frank, like Ring of Honor, I don't think Ring of Honor going to get to that the glory days or what it used to be because of, Sinclair technically, or what happened to it, because they sold out the Garden. They sold out Madison Square Garden with New Japan Pro Wrestling on WrestleMania weekend. Sold that joint out. I still have that. And that's when Enzo Amore and Big Cass showed up. And unscripted, by the way, got into like a physical altercation and nothing happened with that. They didn't even acknowledge it. That was like lightning in the bottle right there. Like you had it. So, and then now Tony Khan like bought Ring of Honor, obviously, but I feel like you can make Ring of Honor like the farming. Like you can make it like NXT. And because one of the critiques is there's no farming area for AEW. You got that Wednesday, Saturday, and that's it, basically. But if you got Ring of Honor, though, you can get your reps in. You can keep doing, and then get called up to the main roster, technically.
And that's where I miss shows like AEW Dark, AEW Dark Elevation. I mean, when I miss those shows, and again, Collision's cool, but I had a schedule. Yeah. And that schedule was Dark. It was what? Dark Elevation, Dark, Dynamite. And I mean, it was, I had a whole schedule like mine. And I actually wasn't watching WWE for a second because of Vince and some of the cheesy crap he had going on. But it was just, when I had a schedule, thanks to AEW, like I didn't miss. Every time Dark and Dark Elevation came on, I knew I was going to see the Dark Order. I knew I was going to see the Workhorsemen. I mean, I knew I was going to see Anthony Ogogo. I just knew who I was going to see on that. And I looked, I saw them. It was like the same folks on there, and I saw Abaddon. I knew I was going to see all of them on those shows, and I had absolutely no problem with it. No problem.
Yeah, and I think one of the critiques AEW has is that sometimes, like with the ranking system is a little confusing because they brought it back, and I don't think us as an audience care about that ranking system as much as we did in the beginning, because it's not like it was before. Because you got the tag team belts, you got the women's championship, you got the TBS championship, the TNT championship, the international championship, and the world championship. So
Continental,
yeah. So I mean, and the Continental. I forgot about, which Okada has, by the way. Okada has. So rightfully so, right? And I'm like, okay, if that's the guy that's going to be not Kofi Kingston, Eddie Kingston, then let that be the guy to be Eddie Kingston. I mean, it's Okada, and there's no interference with that belt. So that's kind of like a pure championship, basically. Like if you interfere, that's a fine. Yeah, you can't cheat. You can't do nothing with it. So, also, since we're on the subject of AEW now, we talk about this one man that has a visceral type of hatred towards AEW, and that's Eric Bischoff, man. What is up? Is he getting paid? Because, I feel like Dax Harwood said it. He said it in a tweet. He like, as much as somebody's paying you to hate on AEW, like, what is going on here?
I think what it is, this is me now. This is just me talking. I'm not speaking for anybody else. Not speaking for any additional wrestling fans and everybody's out there that's a wrestling fan. They're more than happy to disagree with me. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I just think that Eric Bischoff is jealous, and I'm gonna just come out and say it. I think he's jealous and just a hater because you're looking at, and he's probably really grimy because he sees a guy who's basically spending his pop's money.
Yeah.
And he took this company. Now, I'm not gonna say he took this company because Cody was there, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. These guys basically started something with the field. And again, I like AEW because again, I've gone to Rec Center just on the other side of town. I've seen guys that are probably over the hill, like Lodi. The Barbarian came down. I saw Cedric Alexander while he was in the Indies right here in Columbia.
Yeah.
Saw him in the Indies down here before he went on to main event WrestleMania and win the Cruiserweight title. So I think AEW came around specifically for that fan that will go see a bunch of guys that may or may not make it to the big time, but still have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think Eric Bischoff doesn't know it, but he's Vince McMahon.
You think so?
The wrestling business, as much as he's hating, the wrestling business has surpassed him. And he sounds so grimy with it. And
it's obvious.
It is obvious. It's
super obvious.
It's like talking bad about LeBron James as if he's not the NBA all-time leading scorer. You know what I mean? And it's just, if he didn't sound so bad, it's a cold day when I can say I'd rather listen to Jim Cornette.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That it's a cold
that's a lot,
day.
Bro.
And
that's a lot.
And we know how bad Jim Cornette be on. We know how bad Jim Cornette be on Al Gore's internet popping off.
Yes, popping off, man. Like pissing people off.
Jim Cornette be on Beyonce's internet losing his daggone mind. Jim Cornette, look here. Jim Cornette be on Mel Gibson's internet popping off, and we sit here and we just be like, okay, I'm sick of listening to Jim Cornette. But now you have Eric Bischoff, who made a lot of money in your day, but you also pissed away a lot of money. So you should be like one of the last guys that's popping off like you're doing when the old man in Connecticut bought your company.
So, okay. Here's how I feel about like Eric Bischoff. Like, I feel like he's right in certain cases because when he took over WCW, been a marketing person, he's been a marketing genius. WCW was in debt, and Ted Turner was spending money like there was no tomorrow. He didn't give a damn about board of directors. He like, I don't care. They want to cancel this show. I got deep pockets. As long as I got pockets, I'm gonna keep paying for this because I enjoy pro wrestling. So when Bischoff took over, I mean, for 83 weeks, like whooping on WWF, like whooping on them, forcing a change to the Attitude Era. Because if they didn't change, WCW, we'd be having a different conversation because WCW would have won. It would have been AEW versus WCW at this point.
Side note, they kind of made WWF stop pre-taping shows.
Yes, because they was calling them. They was calling them on Nitro.
Yeah, they had a matter of fact, they not only made them do that, but they made it to where it got so bad. Rick Rude was on a pre-tape show. Next thing you know, he showed up the same night. Go ahead. I just want to put that out there because a lot of people may have missed that one night. Yes.
And so, like, now, I can't give Bischoff 100% of the blame. I give him a percentage of it because he has been fighting, like back then, he was fighting the board of directors. He was fighting that back office. Like when DX pulled up, like he wanted to let them in. Because he knew that was going to be money. Because he nobody's going to physically fight each other because people know each other from each company. And the board of directors is like, nah, don't open that door. Missed the opportunity there. And I think at one point he took a leave. He took a leave of absence. Like, he was out fishing while WCW was like tanking, and he showed up and Vince Russo there, and you know, he feels kind of way about Vince Russo, and then, you know, the rest was history at that point. So let's not talk about TNA. When him and Hogan showed up in TNA, like, look, we're gonna put TNA on Monday night, and we're gonna have Jeff Hardy versus this. You know, I forgot who Jeff Hardy went up against. I don't know if it was Kurt Angle or who.
What, talking about when he showed up drunk?
No, that was a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
but
when he was jacked up against Sting, I was so that I've never been.
Sting just put him out and just been done with it. That did make me mad. But that was a pay-per-view though.
Yeah.
But when Bischoff said we're gonna move TNA to Monday nights, and WWE said, all right, bet, I'll raise you. I'm gonna put Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the ring, like face to face for the first time since the Montreal Screwjob. And it was the opening segment. I was like, do you realize what you did? And you saw them hug and shake hands and embrace and all the other stuff. I'm like, this is it. TNA is done. At this point.
I remember when they made that Greatest Rivalries DVD set. I have it.
Yeah.
And they showed how those two, they went through it, and they showed how those two have patched up. Like they're like this now. And they were like, hey, we're over it. God, I forgot all about that move to Monday night. And then WWE put those two in the ring because Shawn was still
to compete.
Shawn was still active.
Yeah, Shawn was still active, and it did that what 15-20 minute segment to compete against TNA on Monday night, and that was it. That was it. I'm like, who idea was it to move to Monday night? I don't know who idea that was. I can't say. I don't know for sure it was Bischoff's idea, but he's definitely the one holding the mic and saying we're gonna move it to Monday night, and Hogan was right there with him. I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it, Chief. So, bad business move. But at the same time, like, Bischoff got to be paid, man. I mean, he's getting paid regardless, but
he's got
like,
to.
Your whole narrative changed. Like, wasn't he on an AEW show one time?
Yeah,
I remember that.
Mm-hmm. He was a moderator. He was a moderator for was it Jericho versus MJF or somebody? But yeah, he was a moderator or something like that.
Yeah. Jericho and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
And that when you heard Cassidy spoke and start speaking intelligently.
Yeah. And see, also with Bischoff, he's got to be. I'm like you. I think he's getting paid, and you're not only talking bad about AEW, but you're talking bad now because he started to get some of his big guns back, but he's also bringing some new guns in. Like we talked about Kamille. We see Kenny Omega's about to be back. We don't know what type of health Kenny's in, but we know Kenny's coming back. Don't forget, we've got Will Ospreay, who
killing it, easily
a top 2 or 3 on the planet right now type of wrestler.
Yeah,
and so we've got all this talent in the women's division. The women's division is on its rise. The tag team division, I would like to see more out of the tag team division in AEW, but we've got all this happening in AEW. TK's doing all the right stuff now, and you choose now to start popping off.
Bro, between him now, Kevin Nash, I understand because Triple H is his boy. You know what I'm saying? I looked at him sideways ever since he bust out and said, "I'm not pulling up this to Sting's last match because I don't want my face and AEW under the same moniker or whatever because Triple H is my boy." And I was like, well, you claim Sting's your boy too. You know what I'm saying? So it's the optics. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure they talked offline. That's not our business, but still, it's the optics. Luca pulled up. You know what I'm saying?
That's probably the click. That's probably the click.
You know what I'm saying?
Because them guys in the clique, they were
right. Luca pulled up, right? But Bailey pulled up for Mercedes debut. Her and Trinity. Matter of fact, her, Trinity, and Tamina.
Yeah.
Pulled up for her debut in Boston. They was like way up in the top. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. So you can't just say you just didn't want to pull up. Just say that you didn't feel like doing it because you don't like what's going on over there.
Yeah, just say it's not your environment.
Right. And then you got Bill Goldberg talking about AEW cheesy. Like, bro. And Tony Khan said, listen, he approached me about, potentially doing something with AEW. We just didn't reach a deal. So just because he wasn't willing to pay you that amount of money, now all of a sudden AEW is cheesy. Come on, bro.
AEW cheesy. To Bill Goldberg, and if anybody's watching this show, watching this podcast, if you're kidding to go Bill Goldberg, if you're tight with him, buddy, Bill Goldberg, you can't say anybody's cheesy. My guy, you ended the career of the excellence of execution. Some of us never let that go.
Bret Hart never let that go. I'll tell you that.
Some of us never
not like Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, some of us never let that go. I mean, I saw clips of a match with him and Booker T.
Yeah.
Booker T carried this man all the way through the match. And Goldberg's the last guy that should be saying somebody's cheesy. Your moveset, jackhammer, spear, a shoulder thrust of somebody's in a corner like Brock Lesnar, maybe a punching somebody in the face.
Yeah.
And now you look even worse. Your last few matches have been terrible because they've been botches.
Yeah, let's not talk about Undertaker and you, man.
Undertaker had to carry this man
overseas, man.
Undertaker. I mean, honestly, I need to go in my kitchen real quick and get the Undertaker some ibuprofen for having to carry a grown man all the way through a match.
Man, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. But for right now, we can all admit, though, like 2023 in AEW wasn't the best year for AEW, and it kind of slowed down a little bit because a lot of people, I don't know what it is about these individuals that go to these wrestling shows and think it's cool, like just to post videos of like the whole arena in attendance, and it, like they focus on this empty section right here, and they're like, oh yeah, look how nobody's showing up for this show, how nobody's showing up for Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like, did you pay a ticket to troll?
Yeah, and see, I went up to Greenville.
Yeah,
it came down. It was the same night as a WWE pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It wasn't a packed house. Of course, it wasn't a packed house because it was a WWE pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But it was a good show. FTR was there. CM Punk was there.
Yeah.
Who else? I want to say Powerhouse Hobbs was there. They also did a Ring of Honor show right after. So I mean, I think it's kind of childish and kind of idiotic to go, if you're an AEW hater, just tell us that you're an AEW hater.
Yeah.
If your sole intent is to go to the show just to try to troll and bring out how empty the show may look, guess what? That show's still gonna go on.
Yeah.
They're still gonna give you a good show. I mean, I could care again. Some of us have been to these rec centers, about 50, 75 people are there. Going to an empty AEW, going to a partially empty AEW show, those wrestlers are still going to wrestle as if that show is packed. They're still going to give you a good show.
Yeah. Like, I'm Stephen A. Smith. I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. We don't care. we
don't give a good goddamn.
We don't care, man. We enjoy these graps, man. Like let us enjoy some shit. And I do get their side of the point, like as far as you want to increase the viewership with more casual viewers, because once you increase the viewership, then yes, you will get those back. Like, I mean, TK is Mr. Pay-Per-View. Like, he delivers every single time, every single pay-per-view. If you're spending $50 on a pay-per-view, you're going to get from top to bottom. Like, you're going to leave happy. You're going to feel like you never wasted $50. Yeah, they gave you 4 hours, 4.5 maybe.
Even the pre-shows are good.
And, right. You know what I'm saying?
Pre-shows are good.
Yeah. Even the pre-shows are good, right? So it's like, And I get what you're saying, and then they still hold that record, 81,000 at Wembley Stadium. You know what I'm saying? So, there's that. And they got a media rights deal that's looming too. So we don't know the details of that. With Warner Brothers Media, we don't know that the media rights deal.
And this is how I knew TK was a Mr. Pay-per-view type of guy. All in last year.
Yeah,
I watched the pre-show for that.
Mm-hmm.
That pre-show was crazy. That was when that was MJF going up against Aussie Open.
Yes. Yeah. MJF and Adam Cole. Yeah.
That match alone was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching. I was like, I said, this is a crazy crowd here.
Yeah.
And then he came back and they did it again.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there saying, this man delivers on his pay-per-views.
Yeah.
His pre-shows are ridiculously dope. I mean, and I like how he puts his pre-shows on YouTube. Go to him, and then you buy a pay-per-view for about $40-$50. If the pay-per-view is $50, guess what? You're getting at least $45 worth of what you pay.
Yeah.
Because I remember at one point, pay-per-views for WWE, $40-$50.
Yeah.
Then you sit there looking at him, you'd be like, this show was all right. I felt like I got
all right. Might leave pissed off.
Yeah, you might be a little pissed off, and don't let your cable provider be jacked up. And then plus I forgot the first pay-per-view I bought. But I watched it. I wasn't disappointed the least bit. No. Not at all. Not at all, man.
And even though I feel like that formula is going to go away when it comes to AEW, I feel like there's going to be a streaming deal coming at some point.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers Discovery with their media rights deal, like that's a looming deal with the AEW. Like it's on the way. We don't know the details of it. Mm-hmm. We don't know if it's been finalized yet or anything like that, but we know there's a deal coming, like when it comes down to AEW. So we also keep that in mind. So last topic we talking about is some WWE stuff. And I'm going to rattle off some names for you with this WWE draft, right? Because I feel like Raw won the draft mainly because I know they got a Netflix deal coming next year. So that's that part of it. So I'm going to rattle off some names. Okay. Dijakovic, Gunther, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Sheamus, Braun Breaker, and Ilya Dragunov are all on the Raw brand. That IC title picture is going to cook and flambe, cuz that is real graps over there. That is real graps.
Man, look here. That intercontinental picture. Good luck, Sami Zayn. Cause I'll say this. Sami Zayn with all those names,
yes,
that's a gauntlet to go through.
Yes.
I don't see Gunther being at the intercontinental level anymore. It's time for him to go up. I actually think that if Jey Uso doesn't win this weekend, which I wouldn't be surprised if he win, but at the same time, I'm hoping that he loses. I don't want him to be the champ yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Because I don't want Damian Priest's title reign to be that short. That's a very small sample size for somebody of his stature, because I think he's the most, me personally, I think he's the most untapped, one of the most untapped superstars on the Raw roster.
Yeah.
And I think when the time is right, Gunther's going to make that WWE, that heavyweight championship run. Now, out of all those names you said, there's one that stands out to me out of all two.
Okay. I was about to say I had two of them.
Got two.
Okay.
And I think this fella's gonna make a run at the Intercontinental title as violent as he can be. Dijak.
Dijak. Oh, okay. See, you had me.
I think Dijak's going to make an Intercontinental run. I hope he does because he's extremely violent. He's big. Yeah. He's big and he's super athletic for his size. I just hope he doesn't get stuck in a feud with the likes of Braun Strowman because he showed up last night. Yeah. And again, I think he looks the best that he's ever looked in his career. Like he is ridiculously swole now. Yeah. But the second person, which I think was probably their best draft pick, Ilya Dragunov.
Yes, sir.
I think he was their best pick.
That man's an animal, man.
I would like to see him in Imperium.
See, that's where we're going to disconnect that. I don't want to see him in Imperium because everybody is waiting for that rematch between Ilya Dragunov and Gunther. Everybody's waiting on that. Like that NXT match that they had, bro. That thing cooked, boy. That was masterful work.
That was a great. Honestly, I say this. Give me that match. Give me a rematch of that match, and he joins Imperium out of pure respect.
Yeah. Now, there's something just about advertising. Now, the battle, I think Battle in Berlin or something like that. I think that is where Dragunov and Gunther is going to face off. Like, let that be overseas. Let that be an overseas match, man. Like, Dragunov, I am super high on Dragunov. That dude is an animal, bro. Like, he's a straight beast out here.
I thought he was unbeatable.
I thought so, too.
I thought it was unbeatable.
Look, shout out to my boy Trick Williams, man. You know, repping South Carolina, man. But I mean, can we keep it a buck though? Can we keep it 100?
Absolutely.
Can we keep it 100? I think
absolutely. This is Orange Phoenix, buddy. Absolutely.
I think the only reason that transition happens because they knew Ilya Dragunov was going to go to Raw. I think that's only because I don't think anybody on that roster could beat Dragunov, and that's no slight for Trick Williams. That dude just unreal. Out there on NXT.
If Melo couldn't beat him, if Melo couldn't beat him, if Dijak couldn't beat him, there's nobody left that could. I mean, if you take a look at the way Dragunov hits, that H-bomb, when he delivers that H-bomb, I'm sitting there saying in the back of my mind, I was like, "That's a 3 count coming."
Yeah.
There's a 3 count coming because it took Trick Williams a few times, like 4 times. It took him like 4 times to beat Dragunov. That's nothing against Trick, but Dragunov is different.
But see, now that Trick Williams beat Dragunov, he has to have one of the most dominant runs as NXT champion. Because of who you defeated, like who you beat, like you should hold that thing for a hot minute.
You beat a world beater. You basically, anybody that comes in front of you, you can't have one of these. You're almost knocked out when you do your finishing move and you just fall on top of the guy and get a 3 count. No.
Yeah.
Your wins have got to be impressive.
Yes.
You beat a whole world beater. I mean, he destroyed everybody in his way.
Yeah.
Until Trick Williams finally got him.
He was knocking the Sonic rings out of people, man. And this is way before him having like NXT championship, man. Like I got put on notice when he went up against then Walter, now Gunther. That's what I got put on notice. I'm like, this dude, like Gunther's like this, Dragunov like this, but Dragunov was going to work because he was going to work.
He beat Tony D'Angelo, and D'Angelo is not a slob.
Yes. And you know what that reminds me of? Like his size, his build, and how he's able to break down like taller opponents. He reminds me of Bret Hart a little bit. Just a little bit. Because, Bret was more like the technical side and he was breaking you down, like Legos. Like you could be 7 feet tall, but I'm gonna break your legs. Like it's just what I'm gonna do to you. Dragunov would do that, but he beat the shit out you. And it's like you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't let the size fool you. And I think that's why he gets so much of my respect. So,
yeah, and again, what he does, and his finishing move is just a straight up simple that H bomb.
yeah,
When he does that, and he'll do it off the top rope if he got to.
yeah,
He hits you with that H bomb. That's and you have to wrestle a perfect match against him,
yeah,
and that might not be enough.
yeah,
The way he went against his competition, I mean, he made them look good,
yeah.
but he looked even better, and he looked like he was in pure control in every match. In every match, I mean, when he beat Mello, I would say that I thought Mello was unbeatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because to me, Melo's like the next, just the way he carries himself. I saw him as like the next Shawn Michaels type of wrestler.
Yeah, I definitely see that in him. He got the attitude and everything, but I can easily see Bret Hart in Dragunov, because when he gets to beating you up, he gets to busting you up, you're in for a long night when you're wrestling against that guy. I need people to bleed whenever they get in the ring with Ilya Dragunov. I need people to get busted open. Like
Trick's lip was busted.
Listen, Ilya Dragunov is Blackpool Combat Club material. That's who he is. That man is a world beater. You know what I'm saying? I just can't wait to see him and Gunther in the ring one-on-one, because that's going to steal the show.
It's coming.
Straight up.
And that's just the Raw roster.
That's just the Raw roster. But
Raw roster stacked.
Yeah, it's super stacked, mainly because of that Netflix deal. Because once it goes to Netflix, you need as stack of a roster it can, because Cody's on Raw, right? No. Cody's on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's on SmackDown. He's going to carry. It's going to be on him to carry SmackDown.
Yeah.
For a while. And to be honest, Jake Paul, it took me a while. I'm a fan of Jake Paul's heel work.
Yeah.
Whoever. And the crazy part, Jake and his brother Logan, I can't stand. No, Logan. I'm sorry. Jake's the boxer.
Jake's the boxer.
Logan's over there at WWE. I can't stand Jake.
I hate him even more.
I don't like Logan, but I can deal with Logan because Logan's a wrestler. Yeah. And Logan actually uses who he is to make himself a better heel, and it's working. Him being the United States champion, it's working. And also, if you take a look at his matches, he's not putting on trash matches.
No.
He's not. He's training. He's doing what he's got to do to put on a good show, and he saved Ray from damn near killing himself doing that backflip off the rope that time. He caught Ray.
Yeah.
I mean, what Logan's doing is good. It's good work right now. So I mean, that, and of course the new tag team belts. Oh my God! When I saw those belts, and I sent you that picture, it took everything in me not to cry.
Yeah, I'm so glad they changed those tag team titles, man, because those copper looking belts, man, that I couldn't stand looking at those belts. Listen, I wouldn't even want those belts around my waist, man. Them things are trash. Those are garbage. But when Triple H changed both of those tag team titles, it meant differently. So you notice the camera angles done changed with Raw. Like, Kevin Dunn is no longer there. You can tell right off the rip. The roster is 10 times more happy. You can really tell, like, on camera, they really is enjoying what they doing. It's not like a high stress level job. It's not like, and the commentators having the time of their lives on the mic. Like, you no longer have Vince in your ear yelling, you can't say this, blah, 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 blah. You can say the word pro wrestling. You can say belt. You can say all these wrestling terms, like, under the Triple H regime. Like, people, let me get on my soapbox right quick. Go right ahead. So let me. Okay, Triple H and the NXT Black and Gold brand, even with AEW still there, NXT Black and Gold had the best pro wrestling show. Period. It had that, and it was putting on good matches too. good matches. And
real quick, can we talk about who Triple H had down in NXT all at one time?
All right.
Adam Cole, Bobby Fish. Matter of fact, we'll just say this because I'm not gonna name all the Undisputed Era. He had Velveteen Dream. I guess he goes by Velveteen Man now because he's back. He's back on the scene now.
Yeah.
Velveteen Dream. You had Dijak was down there. You had, let's see, Keith Lee. I mean, if we take a look at
Drew McIntyre, Andrade,
Andrade,
Gargano, Ciampa.
At the same time, and me and a buddy, man, we were talking a while back. He said this was a roster full of stars, and look at all those stars now.
Yeah,
they're off doing their own thing. Triple H molded that black and gold brand. There was a WrestleMania weekend. I watched that NXT pay-per-view, and I had to think twice if I want to watch WrestleMania.
Bro, see, people think I'm bugging. Listen, when black and gold was hot, they was selling out the Barclays Center. The Barclays Center. They sold that bitch out. And War Games. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this, and matter of fact, the early years, like when Dusty was over there, like everybody loved Dusty. Like, a lot of people like Dusty, and Paul Heyman is some of the best bookers in pro wrestling, like in history. Like the way Dusty came up with the whole War Games deal, like on WCW, which worked really, but it's like black and gold was so hot. They made you second guess if you want to watch the main roster pay-per-view or not, because they wasn't cooking like NXT black and gold was cooking. And then one of my former co-hosts, he was like, well, that was the developmental roster. I say, not to us, it wasn't. It was a third brand. That's what it was to us. Triple H was running that joint like it was clockwork.
You remember when NXT invaded SmackDown one night?
Yes.
They invaded because they were getting ready for Survivor Series.
Yes. They
showed up, and bruh, I felt like I was a part of that invasion when they came in and they dropped. No. They invaded Raw, and they invaded SmackDown in the same week. And I'm sitting there saying, this was me. I said, yo, we just invaded Raw and SmackDown. I felt I was on the roster.
Yeah.
I mean, that black and gold brand, we didn't look at it as if you started, you a rookie, whatever. No, that was a brand.
Yeah.
That was for sure. That was a whole brand, and they were so risky. You had Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream had Call Me Vince on the back of his tights.
Yeah.
Like that entire roster was that roster was cold.
Yeah. Well,
Triple H did everything when the fans were crying about something. He said, don't worry. I got that.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Go ahead and get back on your soapbox, because I'm about to agree with everything you about to say.
AEW Dynamite, AEW shows up, right? Newest kid on the block, and you know it's not going to go anywhere because it's owned by a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? You got the Bucks, you got Cody, you got Kenny. And then the biggest thing was, and a lot of people don't give it enough credit, is that Chris Jericho jumped over. Chris Jericho was at WWE for a long time, for a decade or so.
One of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time.
Right. Period. So, and you see him jump shit, like, oh, this is for real. And then you start having on Wednesdays. Okay, so Vince had a glorious idea. We're gonna move NXT to Wednesdays to cut the ratings because Vince like competition. All right. For the most part, honestly, at least about 90% of the time, a Dynamite won in the ratings war or whatever. Vince didn't like that too well. Guess what he did? He cut the fat all through NXT, and it ended up being NXT 2.0, which was garbage. Like, you went from selling out 8 to 10,000 seat arenas to go back down to 300 because you feel some kind of way about AEW winning a so-called ratings war. We didn't give a damn about none of that because we was watching both of them shows. And like, he killed it. He killed Black and Gold. Shortly after that, I'm not saying that Vince caused a heart attack with Triple H. I'm not saying that, but the timeline, man, the timeline, and it just makes people outside like speculate. Now, again, I'm not saying that Vince caused that, but it's just the timeline just put it all together, and it's like even though with NXT where it is right now, it can never be what Black and Gold is. Like Black and Gold was lightning in a bottle, and Vince just killed it because he felt away.
That NXT Black and Gold was amazing.
Yes, and like to the point where the people on the roster didn't want to go on the main roster. They were loving that shit so much that they didn't want to go over to the main roster. And then some people like, well, you know, you don't want to go out into the big time. No, because I don't want to go somewhere where I'm hot and even the crowd on the main roster know who I am. You're going to throw me back to the bottom of the barrel and give me a new name and some kind of new gimmick and expect that shit to ride. Like,
dude, speaking of that, a good example here. Karrion Kross was a bulldozer in NXT.
See,
Karrion Kross. When I mean, if anybody remembers Karrion Kross's NXT Championship reign,
yeah.
Oh my God, he won. He had the size. He had the entrance. He had his wife is the valet.
Yeah.
When he would show up, and of course he's sitting there banging his chest or whatever. I'm sitting there like, I was like, because I had never really seen him wrestle until NXT, and I had heard of him, and I was like, let me see what this guy's about. And he runs through the competition. I was like, oh snap, he's got me believing. I'm sitting there thinking he's been a champion that long.
Yeah,
no one has a chance of beating him. So he gets called into the main. He gets called into the main roster, looking like a daggone American gladiator with these straps or whatever.
Yes,
and you know his entrance, the whole black and white thing. Scarlett, she's singing, and they cut that out. Matter of fact, they not only cut that out, bruh, she was nowhere to be found.
No.
And he comes to the ring, and I was like, "Oh my God, this was awful." One more example: the Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
What was their name before they became the Viking Raiders? I always forget, but it'll come to us.
It'll come to me. Yeah, it's been some fumbles.
A lot of folks forget that when they showed up on the main roster, and a lot of people don't know, but it got out. Vince McMahon loves Vikings.
Yeah,
it's a matter of fact. It's a well-known fact that any Viking show that comes on, Vince McMahon watches it. He loves Vikings. He changed Ivar. He changed their name to the Viking Experience for like 1 week.
Yeah,
and he changed it to Viking.
The Viking Experience, right? What kind of
like it was the Viking Experience and all that old junk. And I thought that mess was so here it is. I found it. They were War Machine on the indie circuit. They were known to everybody as War Machine. Then they got there. Matter of fact, they were War Machine in NXT.
Yeah, there was War Machine, there was Heavy Machinery, there was DIY. Which honestly, man, that tag. Look, every division in NXT was cooking. Every single one. Shayna Baszler was a killer. Asuka was a killer. Man, it's like Connor. She was Connor in NXT. That's basically what she was. Like she was choking people out, no problem. And my dream match was her and Shayna Baszler 1-on-1. That was my dream match in their personas, how it was in NXT, because both of them was actual killers, world beaters, just like Dragunov was. And then you go put Asuka on there, and she was still dominating up until WrestleMania. And then you have her tap out. You have her tap out after what I saw with her in NXT, where she actually said, "I don't want to fight you or you. I'm gonna fight the both of y'all, and I'm gonna beat both of y'all asses in a triple threat match as a champion." She said that.
Shayna Baszler was a machine.
Was a machine, man. It's like, come on. Come on. But now things are changing. The tide is turning now because, Vince is no longer there. Triple H is running things. Like, is it 10 times better than what it used to be? Yes. Yes. And you're starting to see the people that was under his umbrella in black and gold start to, like, get their comeuppance, get their shine or whatever. And that's just what it is.
And you know who else is good to see this person back too? It's good to see Stephanie McMahon back, because at one point she was having to run things.
Yeah.
And you had the likes of Kevin Owens coming out saying, I love working for Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
And to find out, folks was like, yo, she was kind of sort of like Triple H 2.0.
Yeah.
And if you take a look at all the stars that's there now doing that thing, you've got a lot of folks forgot the likes of Shinsuke Nakamura was down in NXT wrecking shop. Triple H went and got him. All the folks we see, Austin Theory, the whole, I'm not even going to get started on that whole stupid golden egg thing, but Austin Theory was down. He was down in NXT doing his work. Got to the main roster, went by Theory, and then next thing, remember that made headlines all over the internet. This guy's going by just Theory or whatever. They say that was Vince McMahon's thing of dropping a name, whatever, or changing.
He don't like the first name things. He like to take the first name part off,
which was dumb. So Triple H is there now. Folks are happy, and the best part of that locker room that's happy, the women's division.
Yes.
And the women's division is happy. Triple H has brought back factions. I mean, we are seeing SmackDown had a whole war between two Hispanic factions. We're starting to see Lucha Libre make its return back to WWE after all this time being gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Juventud Guerrero would have flourished in today's WWE. Psychosis would have flourished. Conan would have.
Oh, don't get me started, man. Don't get me started on the best cruiserweight division of all time in WCW.
Yo,
now, they had everybody.
Yo, look here. The guys that WCW had over at the time, which I think that's probably the best time for Lucha Libre in the U.S. Of course. Yeah. Of course, you go to Mexico. That's just everyday.
Oh yeah,
life.
CMLL and Triple Mania. Yeah,
that's just everyday life for them down there.
Yeah,
but here in the U.S., WCW had the best period of Lucha Libre that I think we'll ever see here in the United States. But Triple H is doing his damnedest to bring it back.
Yeah.
So I mean, and like I said, we're seeing the return of faction. We're seeing faction wars again. A lot of folks that, if you missed out on DX versus the Nation of Domination, the corporate ministry versus everybody else, if you missed out on that, you missed out on really fun TV.
Yeah.
So I mean, Triple H is. It's good because we got somebody who wrestled in the Attitude Era now running things and giving us. The Rock said on live TV, "Are you listening now, you pieces of shits?" And I was like,
"Listen, hey, bro. When they had blood, I was like, all right. I know it was WrestleMania season. Like, it's not going to be like a weekly thing because we smart enough to know, like, okay, this leading up to WrestleMania, this is building this thing up. This is what it's going to be." And all that. So, man, yeah, it's a good time, man. It's a good time. It's a good time. I mean, yeah. Now, if you're doing everything 100% correct, no, but no promoter will do everything 100% correct. There's some things that's going to stick to the wall, some things that's not, and that's just what it is, man. But check it. This is our show for today, and myself and Alvin will be back next Tuesday for some pro wrestling talk and the latest news and all that. And on Thursday, myself and Boogie Blends will be talking all things of geek culture in the geekdom news. So be on the lookout for that, man. And do you have anything else for the listeners out there, Mr. Staley?
Yes, I do. This was my first time being a co-host on a podcast. Real quick, I just I just want to give a shout out to my man E, man. He's been doing this for a while now. I've been wanting to get on this show, and for a little bit now. I was on here one time before. He had me thinking, hey, I must be too bald, too ugly to get back on here. but hey, he's got me as a wrestling co-host, man, and all I want to do is certainly try not to be biased, be as unbiased as I possibly can. And again, y'all listen from a kid that has seen. I see you got Surfer Sting right there. I've seen Surfer Sting in person. Wrestling. I started watching wrestling when I was 6 years old, and I still love it today. So again, myself and to all the other co-hosts of Orange Phoenix, salutations, and hey, to the main man, to the host, to my frat brother.
That's right.
Look at love you, brother, and hey, can't wait for next week, man. And real quick, just a side note: if WWE's doing this for WrestleMania, we got SummerSlam, we got Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. I mean, and we're already about to come up on the summer, so I mean, wrestling's cool again, everybody. Women's wrestling is no longer a bathroom break. Yeah. Faction wars are back, and we got beautiful belts. Paul Levesque, please work on the Intercontinental Championship for me, please, and thank you.
Listen. With that, you know what? You know what to make it good though? You can keep the metal plate design. Just make the belt straps white. That's it. Just make the belt strap white. That's it. That's all you got to do. You can just change the strap and you got it, bro. That's it.
Because to be honest, the belt that looks the best in WWE, that United States champion. No. The SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
Okay.
The U.S. title and the World Heavyweight title. The World Heavyweight title gives me big gold belt vibes.
Yeah, I think that's where they got it from. Yeah, it had to grow on me just a little bit because they did remind me of that. But but we're gonna have to do a show like one of our favorite championship belts, man. Like we gotta give our list of that. But yeah, appreciate you being on the show. And yes, the infamous Alvin Staley is my pro wrestling co-host, man. I'm looking for another co-host for some pro wrestling talk, man, because somebody to bounce off of. And listen, you could be as biased if you want to, man. Like this, hey, listen, you could do whatever you want on this show, man. Say your piece.
And see, look here. Now you give me a reason to be like, okay, now I have to watch this pay-per-view. I will say this: I don't watch a lot of New Japan. I'm starting to add that about Arsenal now because a lot of stuff goes on in New Japan. And welcome back to the United States, Jack Perry. Yes, your little scapegoat.
Jack Perry, man.
Little scapegoat. Welcome home. Welcome home.
Little scapegoat, man. Hey, listen, a lot of people was on their behind about you shouldn't have shown that footage, but that footage seemed to work for Jack Perry. It seemed to be working.
He's like the only guy that benefited from it.
Yeah, he's the only guy that benefited. I mean, it's like, they start chanting "Cry Me a River" like when he pulled up. I mean, it's like, I'm like, all right, here we go. We off to the races, man. But yeah, man. That is our show for today, man. I will be back on Thursday, myself and Boogie Blends.
I tune in.
Peace.
Go. Go.